The fire in the great hall has burned down to embers. What remains is a deep warmth, a soft glow, and the distant hum of old enchantments woven into the stone. Tonight we drift through the stillness of the half-orc healer at the edge of the battlefield. Let the road fall behind you. Sink into your pillow as the hearth settles to embers. Let your breath turn slow and quiet in the candle glow. Let every worry drift beyond the inn door. This is the drowsy dragon. Let us begin. The sun has long since dipped below the jagged silhouette of the iron peaks, leaving behind a sky of bruised purple and deep velvet indigo. Here, at the very edge of the silent valley, the air is thick with the scent of damp earth and the lingering tang of wood smoke. It is a time of profound stillness, where the echoes of the day begin to dissolve into the quietude of the coming night. You find yourself standing before a heavy canvas pavilion, its pale fabric glowing softly from the lanterns within. It is a place of transition, a quiet harbor between the echoes of the day and the stillness of the night. The canvas ripples ever so slightly in the mountain breeze, making a sound like the distant breathing of a great slumbering beast. Inside, the air changes, becoming warm and heavy with the fragrance of dried yarrow, crushed mint, and the sharp, clean bite of cedarwood. Bundles of herbs hang from the crossbeams, swaying ever so slightly in a breeze you cannot feel. Each bundle is tied with a simple twine, the dried leaves whispering secrets of the soil and the sun. A large weathered table of solid oak sits at the center of the space, its surface scarred by years of service and stained with the juices of 1,000 healing roots. Upon it, a collection of glass vials catches the light, their contents shimmering in hues of amber, emerald, and soft, pale gold. The glass is hand-blown, filled with tiny bubbles that look like captured stars. The healer, a man of formidable stature and gentle movements, works with a quiet focus that commands the room. His hands, though large and marked by the scars of his heritage, move with a precision that belies their strength. He is a half-orc of the Grey-Silt clan, a people known for their knowledge of the earth's hidden humors and the secrets of the stone. His tusks are small and polished, catching the low light of the hearth as he leans over a bubbling ceramic pot. He wears a tunic of heavy, unbleached wool, dyed the color of wet slate, and a leather apron that has seen decades of use. There is a calm dignity in his posture, a steadiness that suggests he has weathered many storms. The sound of the pot is a rhythmic, low-pitched thrum, a comforting domestic melody that grounds the senses. Steam rises in thin, swirling ribbons, carrying the essence of mountain root and honey into the rafters. It is a slow, methodical process, the heat drawing out the life force of the plants to create a balm for the weary. Around the perimeter of the tent, small cots are arranged with care, each draped in thick wool blankets of deep charcoal and forest green. For now they are empty, waiting in the stillness for those who might need the healer's touch. The wooden frames of the beds are sturdy and simple, built to withstand the rigors of the road. Outside, the world is hushed, the distant calls of night birds the only interruption to the vast, encompassing silence. The battlefield, now a memory of the day, rests under a blanket of silver mist that rolls down from the high ridges. The mist clings to the grass, turning the world into a dreamscape of soft edges and muted colors. You watch as the healer takes a sprig of dried lavender, rolling it between his thumb and forefinger until the scent fills the immediate air. He drops the blossoms into a mortar, the stone-on-stone sound of the pestle creating a steady, meditative beat. Each rotation of the pestle is deliberate, a prayer of intention carved into the silence. It is a slow, methodical process, the grinding of the herbs into a fine, fragrant powder. There is no rush here, no urgency to the work, only the patient application of ancient craft. The powder is the color of a summer twilight, soft and cooling to the touch. The lanterns hanging from the poles are fueled by a refined oil that burns with a steady, smokeless flame. They cast long, soft shadows that dance across the canvas walls, like the movements of spirits in a dream. The light is warm and honeyed, softening the sharp angles of the healer's workspace. Near the back of the pavilion, a small iron stove provides a constant, radiating warmth that seeps into the bones. A stack of split birch logs sits nearby, the white bark peeling in delicate, paper-thin curls. The fire within the stove hums a low, contented tune, a companion to the healer's solitary work. The healer pauses, his gaze drifting to the open flap of the tent, where the stars are beginning to pierce through the thinning clouds. He takes a slow, deep breath, his chest rising and falling with the steady rhythm of the tide. He seems to be listening to the world, attuned to the subtle shifts in the wind and the stars. He reaches for a leather-bound journal, its pages yellowed and thick with the weight of generations of knowledge. The quill he uses is plucked from the wing of a mountain hawk, its tip scratching softly against the parchment. He records the properties of the herbs, the timing of the moon, and the success of his tinctures. Every entry is a testament to the resilience of life, a record of the balms and tinctures that have mended the broken and soothed the weary. The ink is dark and rich, smelling faintly of oak gall and iron. The script is fluid and strong, a physical manifestation of his dedication to the art of healing. In the corner, a large basin of hammered copper holds water drawn from a mountain spring, its surface perfectly still and reflective. A single petal from a wild rose floats in the center, a splash of crimson against the dark metal. The water is cold and clear, a source of purity in the heart of the camp. The healer moves to the stove, adding a handful of dried bark to the fire, the wood snapping with a sharp, clean sound. The scent of wood smoke intensifies for a moment, a rustic perfume that speaks of home and safety. The glow of the fire illuminates the deep lines of his face, telling stories of endurance and compassion. He begins to arrange a set of silver instruments on a clean linen cloth, their polished surfaces gleaming like moonlight on a frozen lake. Each tool has a purpose, a role to play in the delicate dance of restoration. They are old tools passed down through his lineage, each one blessed by the elders of his tribe. There is a profound sense of peace in this space, a sanctuary carved out of the chaos of the world. The healer's presence is a steadying force, a mountain of calm in the shifting sands of time. He does not speak, but his every action is a testament to his commitment to life. He picks up a small crystal vial filled with a liquid that glows with a faint pulsing blue light. It is the essence of the star flower, a rare bloom that only opens under the light of a full moon. The liquid seems to have a life of its own, swirling within the glass like a miniature galaxy. As he uncorks the vial, a soft hum seems to resonate in the air, a vibration that speaks of the deep magic woven into the fabric of the earth, The light reflects in his eyes two dark pools of wisdom and quiet strength. He handles the vial with the utmost care, aware of the potent power it contains. He pours a single drop into the steaming pot, and the mixture turns a vibrant, translucent violet. The aroma shifts, becoming sweeter, like the smell of rain on a sun-warmed meadow. The transformation is subtle but complete, a marriage of earth and sky in a single vessel. The healer smiles, a small private gesture of satisfaction as he watches the transformation. It is in these quiet moments that the true power of his calling is revealed, not in the heat of battle, but in the stillness of the cure. He knows that healing is a slow process, a journey that requires patience and grace. The wind picks up slightly outside, whispering against the canvas, but the warmth of the pavilion remains unshaken. It is a world unto itself, a pocket of light in the vast gathering dark. The canvas groans softly under the pressure of the wind, a reminder of the vastness of the wilderness beyond. You feel the weight of your own fatigue beginning to settle, the rhythmic sounds of the healer's work acting as a lullaby. The steady grind of the pestle, the soft crackle of the fire, the gentle bubbling of the pot. Your mind begins to drift, the boundaries between the world and the dream beginning to thin. The healer notices your presence, nodding a silent greeting, his expression one of kind understanding. He gestures to a nearby chair, a sturdy construction of cedar and woven reeds, covered in a plush sheepskin. His eyes are warm, welcoming you into the sanctuary he has created. As you sit, the softness of the fur envelops you, the warmth of the stove chasing away the last of the evening's chill. The healer returns to his work, his movements a fluid, hypnotic sequence of practiced grace. You feel the tension leaving your shoulders, replaced by a sense of profound safety. He takes a long, thin needle of bone and begins to thread it with a strand of spider silk, the material so fine it is almost invisible in the lamplight. It is used for the most delicate of repairs, a testament to the fragility of the things he heals. He works with a steady hand, his focus absolute and unwavering. The silence of the pavilion is not empty, but full of the quiet life of the herbs and the subtle energy of the potions. It is a living, breathing space, attuned to the rhythms of the natural world. You can hear the soft rustle of the hanging herbs as they sway in the gentle air. A small, tawny owl perches on the ridgepole of the tent, its large amber eyes watching the healer with a curious intensity. It remains perfectly still, a feathered sentinel guarding the entrance to this sacred grove of healing. The owl's presence adds a sense of ancient wisdom to the room. The healer reaches out to touch a bundle of dried sage, the leaves crinkling softly under his fingers. He breathes in the sharp, cleansing scent, his eyes closing for a moment as he connects with the spirit of the plant. He treats each herb as an equal, a partner in the work of restoration. The shadows on the wall grow longer as the night deepens, the world outside falling into a profound and heavy sleep. Only the healer remains awake, a lone candle burning in the heart of the darkness. The lantern light dims slightly as the oil burns low, creating a more intimate atmosphere. He begins to hum a low, wordless melody, a song passed down through the ages from the first of the grey-silt healers. The sound is resonant and deep, vibrating in the chest like the purr of a great cat. It is a song of the earth, of roots digging deep and branches reaching high. The melody weaves through the air. intertwining with the scent of the herbs and the glow of the lanterns. It is a song of mending, of the earth pulling itself back together after the storm. You find yourself breathing in time with the melody, your heart slowing to its peaceful rhythm. You find your eyelids growing heavy, the world of the pavilion beginning to blur into a soft golden haze. The healer's silhouette is a steady anchor, a constant presence in the shifting tides of rest. The world outside the tent seems to vanish, leaving only this small circle of light. He moves to the basin, washing his hands with a slow, deliberate care, the water splashing softly against the copper. The sound is like a mountain stream, a clear and refreshing note in the symphony of the night. He dries his hands on a soft towel, the fabric muffled and thick. Every action is performed with a reverence for the tools and the task at hand, a mindfulness that is both humbling and soothing. He then turns to the shelves, rearranging the vials with a gentle touch, ensuring each one is in its proper place. The clinking of the glass is like the sound of distant wind chimes. He stops to adjust the wick of a lantern, the flame growing smaller and more focused, casting a pool of warm light across the wooden table. The corners of the tent recede into a soft, velvety darkness. The air is now perfectly still, the only movement the slow ascent of the steam from the cooling pots. The healer takes a seat on a low stool, his large frame relaxing into the quietude of the hour. He looks out into the night once more, his gaze steady and peaceful. The stars are a vast shimmering tapestry above the valley, a reminder of the infinite scale of the world. In this moment, there is no pain, only the slow, steady pulse of life continuing its journey. The healer rises from his stool with a slow, deliberate grace, his large frame casting a long, gentle shadow across the canvas walls. The floorboards of the pavilion, seasoned by years of travel and weight, emit a low, rhythmic creak that sounds like the sigh of an old friend. He moves toward a heavy, iron-bound chest tucked away in the corner, his footsteps muffled by the thick rugs woven from mountain wool. Every movement is a testament to a life lived in service, a quiet dance of strength and gentleness. He kneels before the chest, the leather of his boots complaining softly in the silence of the night. With a hand that has mended 1,000 broken things, he lifts the lid, the hinges singing a faint metallic note that lingers in the cool air. From within the depths of the chest, he retrieves a massive, leather-bound volume, its cover scarred by time and use. This is the Codex of the Verdant Breath, a treasury of knowledge passed through generations of his kin. He carries the book to the central table, the weight of the parchment and ink feeling substantial and grounding in his palms. He sets it down with a soft thud, a sound that carries the gravity of ancient wisdom. The pages of the Codex are thick and yellowed, smelling of old honey, dried wildflowers, and the faint, lingering scent of wood smoke. He turns the leaves slowly, the sound of the paper like the rustle of autumn leaves in a quiet forest. His eyes, amber and steady, scan the intricate diagrams of roots and petals, searching for a specific remedy to prepare for the coming dawn. He finds it on a page illuminated with silver ink, a recipe for a salve that calls for the essence of night-blooming jasmine and the dew of a mountain fern. A faint smile touches his lips, a look of quiet satisfaction that warms the small space. He steps toward the tent flap, pulling it aside, to look out into the world beyond his sanctuary. The night is a deep, velvety blue, the air crisp and smelling of damp earth and the distant cooling stone of the mountains. The battlefield, once a place of noise and chaos, is now a silent meadow shrouded in a thick silver mist that clings to the grass like a soft blanket. The tall stalks of wild oats sway in the imperceptible breeze, their movements fluid and ghostly in the moonlight. He breathes in the stillness, letting the peace of the land wash over him like a cool stream. Just outside the entrance, a small circle of stones marks his private garden, a sanctuary within a sanctuary where he nurtures the rarest of his healing plants. He walks to the edge of the circle, his large hands reaching out to brush against the leaves of a moon-touched fern. The plant is cool to the touch, its fronds covered in a fine, shimmering dew that catches the light of the stars. He holds a small copper bowl beneath a leaf, watching as a single perfect drop of water falls with a tiny crystalline splash. It is a slow process, a meditation on patience and the quiet rhythms of the natural world. He gathers several drops, each one a jewel of purity, before turning his attention to a cluster of white flowers that only open their petals to the night sky. They are the star lilies of the high pass, and their fragrance is a heady mix of vanilla and cold stone. He plucks a single bloom, the stem snapping with a clean, sharp sound that underscores the silence. He holds the flower to his nose, closing his eyes as the scent fills his senses, grounding him in the present moment. There is no past here, no future, only the cool air and the soft glow of the world at rest. Returning to the warmth of the pavilion, he places the lily and the dew on the table, the copper bowl reflecting the amber light of the candles. He reaches for his mortar and pestle, carved from a single piece of dark polished granite that feels cool and heavy in his grip. He begins to grind the dried herbs he prepared earlier, the stone-on-stone rhythm, a steady hypnotic beat that fills the room. It is a sound of creation, of breaking things down so they may be built back into something whole and healing. The powder he produces is a deep, shimmering blue, like the sky just before the sun rises. He adds the star lily petals to the mortar, the white silk of the flower disappearing into the blue dust as he continues his rhythmic work. The scent of the herbs intensifies, becoming a thick, soothing cloud that wraps around him like a warm cloak. He works with a steady, unhurried pace, his breathing syncing with the movement of his arm. His tusks, polished and clean, catch the light as he focuses on his task, a reminder of his heritage and the strength he uses to protect and mend. He is a bridge between worlds, a force of nature turned toward the preservation of life. With a steady hand, he pours the collected dew into the mixture, the liquid binding the powder into a thick, luminous paste. It glows with a soft, ethereal light, a reflection of the magic inherent in the earth and the skill of the one who works it. He stirs the salve with a small wooden spatula, the sound a soft, wet swirl against the granite. The work is nearly done, a quiet triumph of craft and care in the heart of the night. He feels a sense of deep peace, a quiet joy that comes from knowing he is exactly where he is meant to be. He transfers the salve into a small ceramic jar, the lid fitting with a satisfying, airtight click. He sets it aside on a shelf lined with similar jars, each one a promise of comfort and recovery for those who will need it. He wipes the mortar clean with a piece of soft linen, his movements methodical and thorough. The tools of his trade are treated with the same respect as the patients they serve, for they are the extensions of his will and his compassion. The pavilion is silent once more, save for the crackle of the dying fire and the distant call of a night bird. He moves to a small brazier in the center of the room, adding a few pieces of aromatic wood to the glowing coals. The wood catches quickly, the flames dancing in shades of violet and gold, casting flickering patterns across the canvas walls. He watches the fire for a moment, the warmth soaking into his skin and loosening the last of the tension in his shoulders. The world outside is vast and cold, but here, in this circle of light, there is only warmth and safety. He feels a profound sense of gratitude for this moment of stillness, for the chance to breathe and simply be. He pours himself a cup of tea from a pot that has been resting near the embers, the liquid a dark amber hue that smells of peppermint and ginger. He holds the cup in both hands, the warmth seeping into his palms and radiating through his body. He takes a small sip, the taste sharp and refreshing, clearing his mind and settling his spirit. He looks around his home, at the bundles of herbs, the rows of books, and the steady glow of the lanterns. It is a humble space, but it is filled with the echoes of a life well lived and the potential for many more days of service. He thinks of the soldiers sleeping in the tents nearby, their dreams hopefully peaceful and free from the shadows of the day. He knows their faces, their names, and the stories they carry in their hearts. He is their guardian in the dark, the one who watches over them while they rest, ensuring that the morning finds them stronger than they were before. His presence is a quiet comfort, a steady flame in the darkness that they have come to rely on. He accepts this responsibility with a humble heart, finding strength in the quiet service he provides. He sits back down on his stool, his body feeling heavy and relaxed, his mind drifting like the smoke from the brazier. The stars above the valley seem to pulse with a slow, rhythmic light, as if the universe itself is breathing in time with him. He feels a deep connection to the earth beneath him, the roots of the world reaching up to hold him in a gentle embrace. The boundaries between himself and the world around him seem to soften, leaving only a sense of profound unity and peace. He is a part of the mountain, a part of the mist, and a part of the silent, starlit sky. He closes his eyes for a moment, letting the sounds of the night wash over him. He hears the distant murmur of a stream, the rustle of a small animal in the brush, and the soft, rhythmic flapping of the tent canvas. These are the sounds of a world at peace, a world that is healing itself in the quiet of the night. He finds himself drifting on the edge of sleep, his thoughts turning into soft, colorful images of forests and rivers. He is content to remain here, in this space between waking and dreaming, a silent sentinel in the heart of the world. He reaches out to adjust a small silver chime hanging from a support pole, the metal singing a single clear note that vibrates through the air. The sound is like a drop of water in a still pond, the ripples of its tone spreading out to the very edges of the pavilion. It is a sound of clarity, a reminder of the beauty that can be found in the simplest of things. He listens as the note fades into silence, leaving the air feeling even more still and sacred than before. He is a man of many tasks, but in this moment he is simply a witness to the quiet majesty of the night. He looks at his hands, the skin weathered and scarred, but the touch still light and sure. These hands have held the weight of many lives, and they have never faltered in their purpose. He feels a sense of quiet pride in the work he has done, and a deep anticipation for the work that is yet to come. The morning will bring new challenges, new stories, and new opportunities to heal. But for now, there is only the night, the warmth of the fire, and the steady pulse of his own heart. He is ready for whatever the new day may bring, his spirit replenished by the silence. He stands one last time, moving to the entrance to pull the flap shut, sealing his sanctuary against the cool night air. The interior of the tent feels even more intimate now, a small world of light and warmth in the vastness of the dark. He moves to his bedroll, a simple arrangement of furs and blankets that looks incredibly inviting in the soft light. He removes his heavy leather vest, the weight lifting from his chest and allowing him to breathe even more deeply. He is a creature of the earth, and he is returning to its embrace for a few hours of well-earned rest. He settles onto the furs, the texture soft and familiar against his skin, the scent of cedar and dried lavender rising to meet him. He pulls a thick blanket up to his chin, the weight of it feeling like a gentle hand pressing him down into the mattress of the earth. He watches the last of the firelight dancing on the ceiling, the patterns slow and hypnotic, drawing him deeper into the velvet darkness of sleep. His breathing slows, becoming a steady, rhythmic sigh that matches the pulse of the world outside. He is safe, he is warm, and he is at peace. The shadows in the room begin to lengthen and merge, the edges of the world blurring into a soft golden haze. The healer's heart is a steady anchor, a constant presence in the shifting tides of rest that are now pulling him toward the shore of dreams. He knows that when he wakes, the world will be new, and he will be ready to meet it with the same quiet strength and compassion that he has always shown. The light of the last candle flickers and dies, leaving the pavilion in a state of perfect healing darkness. The world continues its slow, steady journey through the stars, and the healer drifts with it, his spirit light and free. The mind of the healer does not simply go dark, it begins to wander, drifting beyond the canvas walls of his sanctuary. He finds himself walking in spirit across the dew-dampened grass of the Broken Shield Valley. The air here is heavy with the scent of wild thyme and damp earth, a fragrance that speaks of ancient things and the slow, steady turning of the seasons. Above him, the sky is a tapestry of deep indigo, stitched with the silver threads of 1,000,000 stars. They pulse with a slow, rhythmic light, as if the heavens themselves are breathing in time with the resting world below. He moves through the valley with no weight to his step, a silent observer of the peace that has finally settled over this troubled land. He reaches the edge of the Silver Run Creek, where the water flows over polished stones of obsidian and quartz. The sound is a gentle, melodic babble, 1,000 tiny voices whispering secrets to the moss-covered banks. He watches as a single leaf, turned golden by the autumn chill, dances upon the surface of the water, a tiny vessel navigating the currents of the night. Beyond the creek lies the Whispering Woods, a place where the trees are older than the memory of kings. Their trunks are gnarled and thick, covered in a velvet carpet of emerald moss that glows faintly in the dark. These are the iron-bark oaks, sentinels of the forest, their branches reaching upward like the fingers of a giant grasping at the moonlight. He notices the small things, the details that are often lost in the heat of the day. A cluster of moonbell flowers hangs low near the roots of a tree, their pale petals translucent and shimmering. They only open when the world is silent, releasing a scent of honey and cold rain that lingers in the still air. In his dream, he follows a path of pale stones that leads toward the ancient stone circle of Aethelgard. These monoliths were raised by the first builders, long before the wars of the current age began. They stand in a perfect ring, their surfaces etched with runes that hum with a low, grounding vibration, felt more in the bones than in the ears. The mist clings to the base of the stones, swirling like a slow-motion sea of white foam. It is a protective veil, keeping the secrets of the circle safe from those who do not know how to listen. The healer stands in the center of the ring, feeling the ancient magic of the earth rising through the soles of his feet, steady and unchanging. He looks toward the distant horizon, where the silhouette of the great watchtower of Oakhaven rises against the stars. A single blue mage light flickers at its summit, a beacon of safety for the weary traveler and a reminder of the vigilance of the realm. It is a lonely light, but a constant one, shining through the darkest hours of the night. His thoughts turn to the mountains of his youth, the Iron-Crag peaks, where the wind sings a different song. He remembers the high passes where the snow never melts, and the air is so crisp it feels like drinking from a mountain spring. The stone there is dark and heavy, rich with the ores that the mountain folk have mined for 10,000 years. He sees the great dwarven bridge of Kaz-Dura, spanning a chasm so deep that the bottom is lost in eternal shadow. The masonry is flawless, each block fitted with a precision that defies the passage of time. He imagines the sound of his boots on the cold stone, a rhythmic echo that tells the story of those who walked this path before him. In the valley below the bridge, a hidden waterfall spills into a pool of crystalline water. The spray creates a constant, shimmering mist that catches the starlight, turning it into a shower of diamonds. This is a place of deep healing, where the water is said to carry the essence of the stars themselves down into the roots of the world. He drifts further toward the ruins of an abandoned shrine dedicated to the Weaver of Mercy. The roof has long since fallen, but the altar remains, covered in a soft blanket of white flowers. It is a quiet place, a sanctuary for the broken and the weary, where the only sound is the sighing of the wind through the empty arches. He feels the presence of the ancestors, the healers and the protectors who came before him. They are like shadows in the periphery of his vision, kind and steady, their legacy living on in the work of his hands. He is a link in a long, unbroken chain, a weaver of the thread that binds the living to the land. He finds himself standing in a field of tall, silver-tipped grass that sways in a wind he cannot feel. Each blade of grass is a note in a silent symphony, a part of the grand design that moves through all things. He stretches out his hand, and the grass bows toward him, a gesture of recognition and respect from the earth itself. In the distance, he hears the low, mournful call of a great horned owl, the guardian of the night. It is a sound of wisdom and patience, a reminder that even in the darkness there is a keen eye watching over the world. The owl takes flight, its wings wide and silent as it glides over the silvered landscape. He follows the flight of the bird, soaring over the quiet villages and the sleeping camps. He sees the smoke rising from a few remaining hearths, thin ribbons of grey that vanish into the indigo sky. The world is a cradle, and every living thing within it is tucked away, resting and renewing for the dawn. He passes over a small stone well in the centre of a forgotten village square. The water within is dark and still, reflecting the moon like a perfect silver coin. It is a well of memories, holding the stories of those who once lived here, their laughter and their sorrows now part of the quiet earth. He feels the pull of his physical body, the gentle weight of the furs, and the warmth of the fading embers in his tent. But his spirit lingers for a moment longer, soaking in the profound stillness of the night. He is at one with the valley, the woods, and the mountains, a part of the great breathing heart of the world. The shadows begin to soften, and the deep indigo of the sky starts to shift toward a velvet violet. The first hint of the coming day is still far off, but the world is already preparing for its arrival. He feels a sense of deep gratitude for this quiet journey, for the chance to see the beauty that exists in the spaces between the moments. His journey through the dreamscape leads him toward the high, jagged peaks of the Iron-Crag Mountains, where the air grows thin and the stars feel close enough to touch. The ascent into the Iron-Crag Mountains is not a climb of the body, but a rising of the spirit, as the healer leaves the heavy air of the valley behind. Here the atmosphere is thin and crystalline, tasting of ancient frost and the silent mineral heart of the world. Each step upward feels lighter than the last, as if the mountain itself is pulling him toward the stars, which hang like heavy lanterns just above the jagged peaks. The silence here is profound, a deep and resonant hush that vibrates in the marrow of his bones, far removed from the clamor of the battlefield. He crests a ridge of dark volcanic glass, and before him lies a hidden plateau, bathed in the pale silver glow of the high-altitude moon. The ground is dusted with a fine, sparkling powder, not quite snow but the frozen breath of the earth, shimmering like crushed diamonds under his spectral feet. To his left, a frozen waterfall stands as a monument to a single caught moment in time, its jagged icicles reflecting the violet hues of the deep night sky. He pauses to touch the ice, feeling not the bite of the cold, but a rhythmic pulse, the slow, steady heartbeat of the mountain's hidden aquifers. In this high sanctuary, the healer finds a series of stone pillars, carved by hands that existed long before the first kingdoms of men or orcs were ever dreamed of. The carvings are deep and fluid, depicting the flow of water and the growth of lichen, a testament to the slow, patient endurance of the natural world. He moves between the pillars, his presence a soft amber light against the cool blue of the stone, feeling the weight of ages pressing gently against his mind. There is no urgency here, no wounds that need immediate tending, only the vast, enduring health of the mountain which heals itself through the passage of eons. He finds a narrow opening in the rock face, a doorway into the mountain's interior that glows with a soft, pulsing azure light. As he enters, the air grows warmer, carrying the scent of damp earth and the sharp, metallic tang of raw copper veins running through the walls. This is a place of deep dreaming, where the mountain stores its memories in the form of glowing crystals that grow from the ceiling like stalactites of pure thought. He reaches out to brush against one, and a soft hum fills the air, a low frequency that resonates with the healing songs he hums to his patients in the dark of night. He follows the winding path deeper into the stone, guided by the natural luminescence of the earth, until he reaches a vast underground chamber. In the center of the hall, a pool of thermal water bubbles softly. its surface wreathed in ribbons of steam that dance in the still air like ghostly veils. He sits by the water's edge, watching the ripples spread outward in perfect concentric circles, reflecting the glowing crystals far above. This is the source of the mountain's life, a hidden spring that feeds the rivers of the valley and sustains the forests on the lower slopes. He dips his hands into the warmth, feeling the mineral-rich water flow over his skin, a liquid embrace that washes away the last lingering shadows of the conflict below. He thinks of the wounded men back in his tent, and he imagines this warmth traveling through the earth, rising up through the soles of their feet to mend their broken spirits. In the corner of the chamber, he discovers a collection of ancient stone tablets, their surfaces worn smooth by the touch of countless seekers who came before him. He cannot read the glyphs, but he understands their intent, a record of the first medicines, the original pact between the living and the stone. He spends a long time in the silence of the library, his spirit soaking in the wisdom of the earth, a knowledge that requires no words, only a quiet heart. The mountain is a teacher of patience, showing him that even the deepest scars can be smoothed away by the persistent, gentle touch of time and water. He rises and begins his journey back toward the surface, the azure light of the crystals fading behind him as he nears the mountain's high open ledge. The world below is still shrouded in the velvet darkness of the pre-dawn hours, a vast tapestry of shadows and soft flickering lights. He stands at the edge of the world, looking out over the clouds that cling to the mountain's waist like a sea of white wool. He feels a sense of immense perspective, a realization that the struggles of the day are but a single breath in the long, slow life of the world. He watches as a shooting star streaks across the indigo sky, a brief, brilliant flash of light that vanishes into the darkness of the horizon. It is a reminder of the preciousness of life, the fleeting beauty of a single soul, and the importance of the work he has chosen to do. He begins his descent not with haste, but with a measured, rhythmic grace, his spirit moving easily over the jagged rocks and the frozen paths. The air grows thicker and warmer as he leaves the high peaks, carrying the familiar scents of pine needles and damp moss from the lower slopes. He passes through a grove of ancient mountain cedars, their branches heavy with the weight of the night's dew, bowing low as if in greeting. The trees are guardians of the threshold, standing watch over the transition between the high, celestial realms and the grounded reality of the valley. He pauses one last time to look back at the Iron-Crag Mountains, their peaks now silhouetted against the very first, faint hint of a violet dawn. They stand as silent sentinels, enduring and wise, a source of strength that he will carry back with him to the world of the living. As the mountain peaks begin to fall behind, the path leads downward once more, toward the hidden cradles of life that nestle in the deep green shadows of the foothills. The descent is a gentle unfolding, a slow uncurling of the spirit, as the sharp edges of the high peaks give way to the soft rolling curves of the foothills. Here the air is heavy with the scent of damp earth and the sweet, resinous perfume of the low-growing juniper. Each step is cushioned by a thick carpet of fallen needles, a soft brown velvet that hushes the sound of his heavy boots. He moves through the shadows, a part of the night itself, his large frame swaying with a rhythmic, easy grace that belies his strength. The foothills are a place of transition, a middle ground where the wild power of the peaks begins to mingle with the gentle industry of the valleys. He feels the change in the soil beneath him, the way it yields more readily a living, breathing thing that supports a vast tapestry of life. In a small, sheltered hollow, he finds a patch of silver-leafed sage, its soft, fuzzy leaves catching the moonlight like fallen stars. He kneels, his large hands moving with surprising delicacy as he harvests a few choice sprigs, the scent of the herb sharp and cleansing in the cool night air. This sage is a gift from the mountain, a potent remedy for the fevered dreams that haunt the wounded, a way to bring the stillness of the peaks into the heat of the infirmary. He places the herbs into his leather satchel, the movement slow and deliberate, a ritual of gratitude for the bounty of the earth. The bag is becoming heavy, filled with the treasures of the high places, each one a promise of healing, a testament to the resilience of life. He stands and continues his journey, the path winding through a grove of ancient mountain cedars, their branches heavy with the weight of the night's dew. The sound of running water grows louder, a gentle, rhythmic pulsing that guides him toward a hidden stream, its surface shimmering with a soft azure light. This is a vein of the mountain's blood, a cold, pure flow that carries the essence of the crystals from the deep caverns. He pauses at the water's edge, watching as a small silver fish leaps from the surface, a brief, brilliant flash of life in the indigo shadows. He drinks deeply from the stream, the water cold enough to make his teeth ache. But it is a refreshing, invigorating cold that clears his mind and steadies his heart. He feels the strength of the mountain flowing through him, a renewed sense of purpose that pushes back the fatigue of the long night. The world is waking up, though the sun is still hidden beneath the horizon, a slow, subtle shift in the energy of the forest. He passes an old stone wall, its surface covered in a thick layer of moss and ivy, a remnant of a time when these hills were home to many. The wall is a silent witness to the passing of ages, a reminder that even the strongest structures will eventually return to the earth. He runs his hand over the rough stone, feeling the history of the place, the stories of the people who once lived and worked in these quiet valleys. The path opens into a wide, grassy meadow where the fireflies are dancing in the tall grass, their tiny, flickering lights like a reflection of the stars above. He stands for a moment, bathed in the soft, golden glow of their dance, a feeling of profound peace washing over him. It is a moment of pure magic, a reminder that beauty can be found in the smallest of things, even in the midst of a world at war. He notices a fox watching him from the edge of the woods, its eyes bright and curious, a silent guardian of the meadow. The animal does not flee, sensing the healer's peaceful intent, a mutual understanding between two creatures of the night. They share a long, silent look before the fox vanishes back into the shadows, a fleeting encounter that leaves a warmth in his chest. He enters a grove of bioluminescent ferns, their fronds glowing with a soft emerald light that illuminates the path ahead. The air here is thick with the scent of damp earth and the sweet, heavy perfume of the night-blooming jasmine that clings to the trees. He moves through the green glow, his footsteps silent on the mossy floor, a ghost in a world of light and shadow. He finds a cluster of moon-glow mushrooms growing at the base of an ancient oak, their pale, translucent caps pulsing with a slow, rhythmic light. These mushrooms are rare and precious, a key ingredient in the most potent healing salves, a source of light in the darkest of times. He gathers them with care, his spirit filled with a sense of wonder at the intricate beauty of the natural world. The ancient oak stands like a sentinel, its massive trunk scarred by the passage of centuries, its branches reaching out like protective arms over the grove. He leans against the rough bark, feeling the slow, deep heartbeat of the tree, a steady, grounding rhythm that calms his own racing heart. The tree is a living library, a keeper of the forest's secrets, and he feels a deep sense of reverence for its enduring strength. In a small hollow near the tree's roots, he discovers a tiny shrine, a simple arrangement of stones and a single flickering candle. It is a humble offering, a prayer for protection and healing, a sign that he is not alone in his hopes for a better world. He adds a small sprig of the silver-leafed sage to the shrine, a silent contribution to the collective hope of the valley. He continues his descent, the path leading him toward a narrow stone bridge that arches over a deep, foggy ravine. The bridge is old and weathered, its stones worn smooth by the passage of countless feet, but it stands firm, a reliable crossing. He crosses the bridge with a steady step, the sound of the rushing water far below, a low, constant hum in the cool night air. On the other side of the bridge, the forest begins to thin, giving way to the cultivated fields and the quiet hamlets of the lower foothills. He can see the faint, flickering lights of a distant village, a cluster of small stone houses nestled in the curve of the valley. The sight of human habitation brings a sense of comfort, a reminder of the community he is working to protect and the lives he is striving to save. He walks along the edge of a field of tall, waving grass, the stalks brushing against his legs with a soft, shushing sound. The air is growing warmer now, the sharp chill of the high peaks replaced by the gentle, humid breath of the valley. He feels the transition in his own body, the way his muscles begin to loosen and his breath becomes deeper and more relaxed. He pauses by a still, dark pond, its surface reflecting the stars and the thin, silver crescent of the moon. He watches as a ripple spreads across the water, a silent disturbance that slowly fades away, leaving the surface as smooth and clear as a mirror. It is a metaphor for his own spirit, a reminder that even the greatest disruptions will eventually settle, leaving behind a renewed sense of clarity and peace. He finds a path of flat river stones that leads through a thicket of flowering bushes, their blossoms white and fragrant in the moonlight. The scent is overwhelming, a sweet, heady perfume that fills his lungs and soothes his senses, a natural balm for the weary soul. He moves through the blossoms, the petals falling like snow around him, a gentle shower of beauty in the quiet of the pre-dawn hours. The silence of the valley is profound, a deep, heavy quiet that is broken only by the occasional hoot of an owl or the soft rustle of a small animal in the brush. It is a time of rest and reflection, a moment of stillness before the world wakes up and the work of the day begins. He feels a sense of profound gratitude for this quiet time, a chance to gather his thoughts and prepare his heart for the challenges ahead. As he nears the edge of the village, he sees the first faint hint of light on the eastern horizon, a thin line of pale gold that promises the arrival of a new day. The darkness is beginning to lift, the shadows growing long and thin as the world prepares to greet the sun. He walks toward the village with a steady, purposeful step, his heart filled with the strength of the mountain and the peace of the forest, ready to bring the healing power of the high places to the world below. The first cobbles of the village are cool beneath his boots, worn smooth by generations of feet and the heavy wheels of harvest carts. Here the air holds the scent of damp stone and the faint, lingering sweetness of wood smoke from the banked fires of the night. Every window is dark, save for the occasional glimmer of a tallow candle, where a restless soul perhaps waits for the dawn. He moves like a shadow through the narrow lanes, his presence a quiet ripple in the sleeping town. He stops by the communal well, where the stone rim is slick with the morning mist. The rope is rough against his palms as he lowers the bucket, the distant splash echoing softly in the hollow depth. When he pulls it up, the water is clear and biting cold, a sharp contrast to the humid air of the valley. He drinks deeply, feeling the chill spread through his chest, a grounding sensation that anchors him to this place and this moment. The village is a tapestry of quiet sounds, the rhythmic breathing of livestock in their pens, and the soft rustle of straw. A large, shaggy hound lifts its head from a porch, its eyes reflecting the silver light, before it lets out a long, contented sigh and settles back into sleep. There is no fear here, only the profound peace of a community at rest, sheltered by the mountains and the fading stars. He feels a deep sense of responsibility for this peace, a silent vow to keep the darkness of the world beyond the hills from reaching these hearths. He finds his way to the apothecary's garden, a small plot of land enclosed by a low stone wall and a gate of twisted iron. The gate creaks ever so slightly as he enters, a sound that is lost in the gentle whisper of the wind through the nearby trees. The garden is a sanctuary of scent and texture, even in the dim light of the pre-dawn hours. He kneels by a patch of silver-leafed sage, its leaves soft and velvety under his touch. The dew clings to the herbs like tiny liquid diamonds, catching the first faint rays of the rising sun. He moves with practiced care, his large hands surprisingly delicate as he gathers a few sprigs of lavender and a handful of dried chamomile. Each plant has its own story, its own unique medicine, and he treats them with the reverence they deserve. The earth beneath his knees is cool and moist, a reminder of the life that pulses just below the surface. He takes a moment to sit on a low wooden bench, his back against the rough stone of the apothecary's cottage. The silence is absolute, a heavy, comfortable weight that wraps around him like a cloak. He closes his eyes and listens to the heartbeat of the village, the slow, steady pulse of a world that is beginning to wake. In this moment, there is no war, no suffering, only the simple, beautiful reality of a garden in the morning. As the light grows stronger, the colors of the garden begin to emerge, the deep greens of the leaves and the soft purples of the flowers. He watches as a small golden bee emerges from a blossom, its wings buzzing softly as it begins its day's work. It is a small miracle, a reminder of the intricate beauty of the natural world and the interconnectedness of all living things. He feels a sense of profound connection to this small creature, a shared purpose in the service of life. He rises and moves toward the village forge, the anvil sitting silent and cold in the center of the open-air workshop. The smell of iron and ash is strong here, a reminder of the hard work and craftsmanship that sustains the village. He runs a hand over the smooth surface of the anvil, feeling the strength and resilience of the metal. It is a symbol of the enduring spirit of the people, their ability to shape their own destiny from the raw materials of the earth. He passes the village inn, its sign swaying gently in the breeze, a painted lamb sleeping peacefully on a bed of clover. From within he can hear the muffled sounds of the innkeeper, beginning the morning's preparations, the clatter of a pot and the soft hum of a song. The smell of baking bread begins to waft through the air, a warm, comforting scent that speaks of home and nourishment. It is a sign that the world is truly waking, that the long night is finally coming to an end. He reaches a small stone shrine at the edge of the village, a simple structure dedicated to the spirits of the land and the ancestors. A few wilted flowers lie on the altar, tokens of gratitude and hope left by the villagers. He adds a sprig of fresh lavender to the collection, a silent prayer for the health and safety of the community. The air around the shrine feels thick with memory and tradition, a tangible link to the past and a promise for the future. The path leads him toward a small stream that flows through the heart of the village, its water clear and shallow over a bed of smooth, colorful stones. He pauses on a small wooden bridge, watching as the water swirls around the pilings, creating tiny eddies and whirlpools. The sound is a constant, soothing melody, a reminder of the eternal flow of time and the cycles of nature. He feels a sense of deep calm, a quiet joy in the simple beauty of the world. He takes a moment to organize his satchel, carefully tucking the fresh herbs into their leather pouches. His movements are slow and deliberate, a ritual of preparation that he has performed 1,000 times before. Each item has its place, each tool its purpose, a testament to the order and discipline of his craft. He feels a sense of satisfaction in his work, a quiet pride in the knowledge that he is prepared for whatever the day may bring. The horizon is now a bright, glowing amber, the sun poised to break over the edge of the world. The shadows are retreating, the village coming into focus with a clarity that is both beautiful and startling. He can see the individual stones in the walls, the thatch on the roofs, and the delicate patterns of the frost on the window panes. It is a moment of transition, a turning point between the quiet of the night and the activity of the day. He walks toward a quiet doorway, the entrance to a small, modest cottage where an elderly woman lives alone. He knows she has been struggling with a persistent cough, and he has come to bring her a special blend of herbs to ease her breathing. He leaves the small bundle on the doorstep, a silent gift of healing, before moving on. There is no need for thanks, no need for recognition, only the quiet satisfaction of knowing he has helped. He finds a quiet spot on the outskirts of the village, a grassy knoll that overlooks the valley and the distant mountains. He sits down and watches as the sun finally clears the horizon, its light flooding the world with warmth and color. The sky is a brilliant blue, the clouds tinged with pink and gold, a spectacular display of nature's artistry. He feels a sense of profound peace, a deep connection to the earth and the sky and the light. The morning air is crisp and invigorating, a reminder of the new beginnings that each day brings. He takes a long, deep breath, filling his lungs with the fresh, clean air of the valley. He feels a sense of renewed energy, a quiet strength that will sustain him through the challenges of the day. He is a healer, a protector, a bridge between the wild places and the world of men, and he is ready. He watches as the first villagers emerge from their homes, their faces pale and soft in the early light. They move with a quiet purpose, beginning the tasks of the day with a steady, unhurried pace. He feels a sense of kinship with them, a shared commitment to the life of the community. He is not just a visitor here. He is a part of the fabric of this place, a thread in the tapestry of their lives. The sound of a distant bell begins to ring, a clear, resonant tone that echoes through the valley. It is the call to morning prayer, a reminder of the spiritual foundations of the village. He bows his head in a moment of silent reflection, a gesture of respect for the traditions and beliefs of the people. The sound of the bell is a comfort, a familiar rhythm that marks the passage of time and the continuity of life. He stands up and begins to walk back toward the center of the village, his heart light and his spirit at peace. The work of the day is about to begin, but for now there is only the quiet beauty of the morning. He moves with a steady, purposeful step, his presence a source of comfort and strength for those he meets. He is the half-orc healer, a man of two worlds, who has found his place in the service of life. As he reaches the village square, he sees a group of children playing near the well, their laughter a bright silver sound in the quiet air. They stop and watch him as he passes, their eyes wide with curiosity and wonder. He gives them a small, encouraging smile, a silent greeting that speaks of kindness and protection. The children return his smile, their faces lighting up with joy before they return to their game, and the village settles into the familiar rhythm of the day. The morning sun, now climbing higher into the pale expanse of the sky, casts long, soft shadows across the cobblestones of the village square. He walks past the baker's shop, where the scent of fresh, warm bread mingles with the cool, damp air of the morning. It is a comforting smell, one that speaks of home and the simple, enduring rhythms of life. He nods to the baker, a stout man with flour on his apron, who returns the gesture with a look of quiet respect. The market stalls are beginning to open, their colorful awnings snapping gently in the light breeze. He pauses at a merchant's table, where jars of honey and bundles of dried lavender are laid out in neat, orderly rows. The lavender is a deep, vibrant purple, its scent sharp and clean, a natural remedy for restless sleep and heavy hearts. He picks up a small bundle, feeling the brittle stems beneath his fingers, and breathes in the calming fragrance. His journey takes him away from the center of the village, toward the narrow path that leads into the ancient woods. The transition is gradual, the sound of voices and the clatter of carts fading into the background, replaced by the soft rustle of leaves and the distant call of a wood pigeon. The air here is cooler, thick with the scent of pine needles and damp earth, a fragrance that feels like a homecoming. He adjusts the straps of his heavy leather pack, the weight a familiar presence against his broad shoulders. The path winds through a grove of silver birch trees, their white bark shimmering like moonlight in the dappled sun. He moves with a steady, unhurried pace, his large, calloused hands brushing against the ferns that line the way. There is a profound stillness here, a sense of peace that seems to emanate from the very ground itself. He is a man of two worlds, but in the silence of the forest the distinctions between them seem to vanish, leaving only the quiet reality of the present moment. He reaches a small stone bridge that spans a bubbling brook, the water crystal clear as it flows over smooth, moss-covered stones. He stops for a moment, leaning against the weathered stone railing, and watches the play of light on the water's surface. The sound of the brook is a gentle, rhythmic pulse, a natural lullaby that soothes the mind and settles the spirit. He feels the cool mist from the water on his face, a refreshing touch that clears away the lingering shadows of the night. Deep in the heart of the woods, he finds a hidden glade, a place where the sunlight filters through the canopy in shimmering shafts of gold. The ground is carpeted with bluebells, their delicate blossoms nodding in the soft breeze like a sea of azure. He sits down on a mossy log, the texture soft and damp beneath him, and takes a moment to simply be. The world outside, with its conflicts and its cares, feels very far away, lost in the timeless beauty of this sacred space. He opens his pack and begins to sort through his supplies, his movements slow and deliberate. He takes out a small wooden mortar and pestle, the wood worn smooth by years of use, and begins to grind a handful of dried roots. The sound is a rhythmic, satisfying crunch, a familiar melody that speaks of the healer's craft. The scent of the roots is earthy and pungent, a powerful reminder of the hidden strength that lies within the natural world. He thinks of the many people he has helped, the wounds he has bound, and the spirits he has comforted. Each one is a story, a thread in the rich tapestry of his life, held together by the quiet commitment to the service of others. He does not seek recognition, nor does he crave the praise of men, for the work itself is its own reward. In the quiet of the forest, he finds the strength to continue, the courage to face the challenges that lie ahead. A small bird, a robin with a bright orange breast, lands on a nearby branch and watches him with curious, dark eyes. He remains perfectly still, a silent observer in the bird's world, and feels a sense of profound connection to the living things around him. The robin chirps a few notes, a clear silver sound that echoes through the glade, before taking flight and disappearing into the trees. He watches it go, a small smile touching his lips, his heart light, and his spirit at peace. The midday sun hangs high in the sky, its warmth a gentle embrace that fills the forest with a golden haze. He continues his walk, the path leading him deeper into the wild places, where the trees are older and the shadows are longer. He finds a small thatched hut nestled among the roots of a giant oak, its walls made of stone and timber, its roof covered in a thick layer of green moss. This is his sanctuary, a place of rest and reflection, far from the noise and the bustle of the world. He enters the hut, the air inside cool and still, scented with the fragrance of drying herbs and old wood. Bundles of chamomile, sage, and yarrow hang from the rafters, their muted colors a testament to the seasons that have passed. He sets his pack down on a sturdy wooden table and begins to organize his new acquisitions, placing the lavender and the roots in their proper places. The hut is a place of order and purpose, a reflection of the quiet discipline of his life. He walks to the small window and looks out at the forest, the leaves shimmering in the afternoon light. He can see the distant mountains, their peaks shrouded in a soft blue haze, a reminder of the vast and beautiful world that lies beyond his door. He feels a sense of deep gratitude for this place, for the peace and the solitude that it offers. It is a gift, a sanctuary where he can find the stillness he needs to heal both others and himself. He sits down in a comfortable wooden chair, the wood smooth and cool against his back, and closes his eyes. He listens to the sounds of the forest, the rustle of the leaves, the chirp of the insects, and the distant murmur of the brook. They are the voices of the earth, a timeless chorus that speaks of the enduring power of life. He feels himself drifting, his thoughts slowing down, his body relaxing into the quiet rhythm of the afternoon. He remembers the smell of the battlefield, the sharp tang of iron and the heavy scent of smoke, and how different it is from the clean, fresh air of the woods. He has seen the worst of what men can do to each other, but he has also seen the best, the courage and the compassion that emerge in the darkest of times. He is a witness to both, a bridge between the violence of the world and the peace of the natural realm. He opens his eyes and watches as a shaft of sunlight moves slowly across the floor, illuminating the tiny motes of dust that dance in the air. It is a simple, beautiful sight, a reminder of the quiet magic that exists in the everyday moments of life. He feels a sense of profound contentment, a deep-seated joy that comes from knowing he is exactly where he is meant to be. He is the healer, the protector, the one who stands at the edge of the world and offers comfort to those in need. He stands up and begins to prepare a simple meal, the sound of the knife against the wooden cutting board a steady, rhythmic pulse. He moves with a quiet efficiency, his hands sure and steady, his mind focused on the task at hand. The smell of vegetables and herbs fills the small hut, a warm and inviting fragrance that speaks of nourishment and care. He eats slowly, savoring each bite, the simple flavors a reminder of the bounty of the earth. As the afternoon begins to fade into evening, the light in the forest turns a deep, vibrant gold. He steps outside and sits on the small bench in front of his hut, watching as the shadows grow longer and the sky begins to turn a soft, dusty pink. The air is cooling now, a gentle breeze stirring the leaves and carrying the scent of the coming night. He feels a sense of quiet anticipation, a readiness for the rest that the darkness will bring. He thinks of the village he left behind, the children playing by the well, and the baker with his flower-covered apron. They are a part of him, just as the forest and the mountains are a part of him. He is a thread in the tapestry of their lives, a source of strength and comfort that they can rely on. He is grateful for the connection, for the sense of belonging that comes from being a part of a community. The first stars begin to appear in the deepening indigo of the sky, their light faint and shimmering like distant jewels. He watches them with a sense of wonder, a reminder of the vastness and the mystery of the universe. The forest is settling into its nighttime rhythm, the sounds of the day fading away, replaced by the quiet rustle of nocturnal creatures and the soft hoot of an owl. He stands up and takes one last look at the darkening woods, his heart full and his spirit at peace. The day has been long and productive, a journey through the beauty and the stillness of the natural world. He is ready for the night, for the quiet dreams and the deep restorative sleep that will prepare him for the challenges of the morrow. He turns and walks back into his hut, the door closing softly behind him as the forest settles into a profound and peaceful silence. The door closes with a soft, weighted thud, and the world of the forest is left behind. Inside the small hut, the air is thick and warm, carrying the deep, earthen scent of dried valerian and the sharp, clean tang of peppermint. Thok moves through the dim light, his large frame casting a long, gentle shadow against the rough-hewn stone walls. He reaches for a small flint, his movements slow and deliberate, and strikes a spark to the single candle resting upon his workbench. The flame blooms into life, a tiny golden orb that pushes back the velvet shadows of the room. He stands for a moment, simply breathing, letting the quiet of the space settle into his bones. The workbench is a landscape of his day, covered in the remnants of his healing arts. There are small ceramic bowls stained with the juices of crushed berries, and bundles of willow bark tied with twine. He begins to tidy the space, his large, calloused hands moving with a grace that belies their strength. Each tool is cleaned with a soft linen cloth, the metal of the shears gleaming faintly in the candlelight. There is a profound satisfaction in the cleaning of tools, a ritual that marks the transition from the healer to the man. He wipes the stone mortar, removing the last traces of a poultice made for a soldier's fever. The grit of the herbs is a reminder of the fragility of life and the strength required to mend it. He places the mortar back on its shelf, aligning it perfectly with the others, his mind drifting to the faces of those he helped. They are resting now, tucked away in the village or the camp, their pain eased by his hands. He moves to the hearth, where the fire has burned down to a bed of glowing ruby-red embers. The heat is a steady, pulsing presence, radiating from the stones and warming the soles of his feet. He takes a small iron poker and stirs the coals, sending a brief flurry of orange sparks up the chimney. They look like tiny earthbound stars, dancing for a fleeting second before vanishing into the dark. He adds a single thick log of seasoned oak, watching as the heat begins to lick at the wood, coaxing out a thin, fragrant wisp of smoke. To his left, a shelf holds a row of glass vials, each one containing a liquid of a different hue. Some are a deep midnight blue, while others shimmer with a faint bioluminescent green like captured fireflies. These are his most precious draughts, brewed during the full moon or under the alignment of the wandering planets. He touches one lightly, the glass cool beneath his finger, and feels the faint hum of the magic contained within. It is a quiet magic, a magic of growth and restoration, far removed from the thunder of the battlefield. He turns away from the workbench and walks toward the small window that looks out upon the clearing. The glass is old and slightly rippled, distorting the view of the forest into a dreamlike tapestry of indigo and silver. The moon, known to the local folk as the Silver Weaver, is high in the sky, casting a pale, ethereal light over the world. He can see the silhouette of the great oak tree, its branches reaching upward like the fingers of a giant. It has stood for 300 years, and it will likely stand for 300 more, a silent witness to the passing of ages. Thok feels a deep connection to the tree, to the way it anchors itself in the earth while reaching for the heavens. He, too, is anchored here, in this small hut at the edge of the world, serving as a bridge between the wild and the settled. He unfastens the heavy leather clasps of his tunic, the material thick and protective. As he sets it aside, he feels the cool air of the room against his skin, a refreshing contrast to the warmth of the hearth. His body is a map of his history, marked by the scars of his youth and the steady, rhythmic pulse of his present. He sits on the edge of his bed, which is piled high with thick woolen blankets and the soft grey furs of mountain wolves. The frame is made of sturdy pine, the wood polished to a dull sheen by years of use. He leans forward, resting his elbows on his knees, and lets his head hang low for a moment. The weight of the day is finally lifting, replaced by a slow, creeping heaviness in his limbs. It is the weight of a job well done, of a life lived in service to others. He thinks of the quiet moments he witnessed today, the way a mother held her child's hand, or the way a weary soldier offered a silent nod of thanks. These are the threads that bind the world together, the small acts of kindness that outweigh the grand gestures of kings. He is grateful to be a part of it, to be the one who mends the broken threads and weaves them back into the whole. The silence of the hut is absolute now, broken only by the occasional pop and crackle of the fire. He reaches out and picks up a small, leather-bound journal from the bedside table. Its pages are yellowed and brittle, filled with his own cramped handwriting and detailed sketches of rare flora. He flips through the pages, his eyes lingering on the drawing of a kingsfoil blossom, its petals delicate and star-shaped. He records the events of the day, the herbs he used, and the observations he made about the shifting seasons. The scratch of the quill against the parchment is a soothing sound, a rhythmic pulse that matches the beating of his heart. When the entry is finished, he sets the journal aside and watches the candle flame flicker in a stray draught. It is growing shorter now, the wax pooling in the ceramic holder like a tiny frozen lake. He knows it is time to yield to the night, to let the darkness take hold and guide him into the realm of dreams. He stands one last time, moving to the door to ensure the latch is secure. The iron is cold and solid, a final barrier between his sanctuary and the vast, unknown world outside. He returns to the bed and pulls back the heavy covers, the scent of lavender rising from the linens. It is a scent he finds particularly grounding, a reminder of the garden he tends with such care during the summer months. He slides into the bed, the mattress yielding to his weight, and pulls the blankets up to his chin. The warmth is immediate and enveloping, a soft cocoon that shields him from the chill of the midnight hour. He stares up at the ceiling, where the shadows of the rafters play in the dying light. His breathing slows, becoming deep and rhythmic, a steady tide that ebbs and flows within his chest. He closes his eyes, and the world behind his lids is a sea of soft, shifting colors. He can still hear the forest, the distant hoot of an owl, the rustle of the wind in the high canopy, but they are far away now, like echoes from another life. He is here, in the stillness, in the safety of his home, and there is nothing more that needs to be done. He thinks of the village now sleeping under the same moon, and the soldiers in their tents, dreaming of home. He sends out a silent wish for their peace, a prayer whispered into the dark. May their wounds heal, may their hearts find rest, and may they wake to a world that is a little kinder than the one they left behind. The fire in the hearth has settled into a soft golden glow, casting a warm light across the floor. It is the light of a fading sun, the last ember of a long and fruitful day. As the final candle flickers and dies, the room is plunged into a soft, velvety darkness. It is not a frightening dark, but a protective one, a space where the mind can wander without fear. Thok feels himself drifting, the boundaries of his body softening as he merges with the silence of the room. He is no longer the healer, no longer the half-orc, no longer the man at the edge of the battlefield. He is simply a part of the night, a single note in the great unfolding symphony of the world. The shadows are long and kind, and the air is cool and sweet. He feels the pull of sleep, a gentle hand leading him down into the depths of a quiet, dreamless rest. Tomorrow will bring its own challenges, its own needs. But for now, there is only the stillness. There is only the peace of the hearth and the steady, unwavering protection of the ancient trees. He lets go of the last lingering thoughts, allowing them to float away like dry leaves on a slow-moving river. The forest continues its slow, nightly dance outside his window, the stars turning in their eternal cycles. The silver weaver climbs higher, her light a silent blessing upon the roof of the hut and the leaves of the trees. All is well, all is quiet, and the world is exactly as it should be. Thok breathes out one final, long sigh, and the darkness takes him into its embrace, promising a night of deep and restorative slumber. The silence remains, a heavy, beautiful presence that fills the room and the forest beyond, holding the world in a state of perfect, timeless grace. Thank you for resting here a while. Until next time on the Drowsy Dragon, sleep well.